Gilligan's Island once went on a 4-hour tour. Today, the MLB owners and players met for 5 hours. So, which one lasted longer? So, apparently, they met for a long time today. Does that mean we have a deal or no deal? We'll talk about that on a short edition of the Locked On Astros podcast.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talk Stros. Find the show at Locked On Astros. Your team every day. Brett, where can they find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on Twitter and Instagram, and at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros.
All right. Thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. And because you make us your first listen, we wanted to go ahead and do a short little update. We already did the Alex McKenna interview, which was great. And go and check that out on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. But we want to address the news of the day, and we're going to go and do that in short format right here. And there's a lot of stuff that happened today. The Players Association and the owners, they actually were able to stay together in a room for 5 hours, and they didn't kill each other. So that's progress. And they were able to be civilized and agree to go on a second date the next day after a 5-hour date. So that's great. So what happened in that meeting? And so there's a lot of things that happened, but the biggest thing, especially, we didn't bring this up with Alex McKenna, but this something that does kind of affect him is MLB did withdraw its request to the union to potentially reduce the number of minor league jobs in the future. I mean, that does not mean they want to go ahead and not do it in the future, but they don't want to do it for 2022, and they're not looking to do it in 2023.
They
But this
want
is
the
something,
ability, right? They
right?
want the ability to do it. And, that's the thing. You wonder now when you read about they come at it from it's a quality of living kind of thing, like the amount of minor leaguers that are on the payroll. And if you look at the payroll, Eric, if you look at the average or what the minimum salary is, I think it's the minimum salary, or I don't know if that's average salary that they're throwing out there for the different levels. It goes from 16,000 to like 9,000 down to 3,000 in like summer league ball. So we're not talking about a lot of money that these minor leaguers are being paid. Major League Baseball has committed to paying for the housing and stuff for the minor leaguers. So maybe they're like, well, we're paying for all these minor leaguers. Maybe we should reduce each team's threshold of people under their umbrella to 150 from 180. And they want to reduce that maybe even more. And so it is somewhat of a stinker just to think about, because minor leaguers always seem to get the short end of the stick. But the fact that they're not going to mess with it for the next 2 years, I guess, is a good thing. It just makes you wonder how far they're going to take that in the future.
Also, MLB pulled their offer to limit the number of options to 5. So you know how many times you can bring a player up and down,
Right.
up and down. So that they pulled their offer. I mean, their proposal to have it only 5. So that is a big deal because it's a quality of life issue, kind of like you said. Because right now, the players want a max of 4 options, and the owners were said, well, we want it to be 5. So it's just kind of a way that the owners are saying, look, we're trying to meet you halfway, or at least some way. So I don't know if they're not anywhere close to meeting
Yeah.
agreement, but you have the owners were wanting to limit the minor league players to 150 while it's currently at 180. So that's 30 players that you're talking about. While that doesn't really affect the major league union, the guild, or whatever we want
Right.
to call it, but that those players eventually will become big league players who do have to deal with those options.
Yeah, I mean, those guys basically, if they're still playing and they can still play ball, they will probably find other avenues. They'll play maybe in Venezuela, maybe in Mexico, maybe they will play independent league like what Sugarland used to be prior to becoming the AAA affiliate. And they continue to be separated on a lot of issues. Now, they do plan to meet again tomorrow. Evan Drellich reported that MLB's pre-arbitration bonus pool, um, they upped their pool money to $20 million.
It was 15, but now
It
they
was
upped it.
15,
Right.
but that would go to 30 players. Now, here's the difference. The union's proposal would be distributed to 150 players at 115 million.
Right.
So MLB Players Association is trying to get more players paid that they feel deserve or are getting the short end of the stick. And the owners are like, well, we'll give you that much for 30 players. So that, I mean, they're, I guess, getting closer. They've gone up from 5 million to 20, but it makes you wonder how far the owners will go and how much less the players will take.
Well, we see that the owners are kind of giving in a little bit. That's the thing. The players have kind of stepped back. They're like, they lowered it. Then they're like, okay, no, we're going back.
They have
You're
stood
not
their
going
ground, right?
right. And so now we see the owners kind of giving in a little bit. And that's what we've talked about in recent podcasts. We see the owners kind of hinting at what they'll give in on. And one of the things that also has been a topic was the how many draft picks will be used to be determined with the lottery picks. Now MLB has come out and said we want to have 4 picks be determined by the lottery. The players had proposed 8. So there's still that difference there. So the MLB wants 4 lottery with the ping pong balls, so to speak,
And
and the players want the 8.
And another thing is there is no revised CBT proposal. That
Well,
wasn't
yeah,
done today. And that though is an area of major importance to both to both parties. So this is progress. So Eric, this isn't a 15-minute meeting. They met for 3 hours. They took a break. They met for another 2. And that means they're talking. You don't sit in a room BSing about nothing, especially if you have a goal in mind. And it is, if you're listening to this on Tuesday, it is 2/22/22. Okay. You're 7 days away or 6 days away from the 28th deadline. And I
right.
think it's really important. We're going to see. We're going to see more movement. And I think we're going to see, I believe both sides want to get something done.
Yeah, but you still got that $95 million gap in between the
Oh, that's
proposals.
huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so the 28th, like you said, opening day is scheduled for March 31st. But the union is expected to. So MLB submitted their proposal today. Now the union is expected to submit their proposal tomorrow. So we're going to see how much the players are going to give in tomorrow or Tuesday. And then what's probably going to happen is the owners on Wednesday will submit their proposal. And then Thursday, the players would submit their proposal. And then what's probably going to happen on Friday is you're going to see both sides just be like, look, we're tired of this crap. Let's just say, let's just, what can we do? Let's just get the Chinese food. Let's get some beers. Let's
Well,
just get some.
you must wait, hold on. You keep talking about Chinese food. I mean, are you craving? Is there some
Well,
new
that
Chinese restaurant in
every
the
time I
area that
watch
you
a
haven't told
movie
me
where
about?
they have to like stay late to work on a big proposal or lawyers that work for a big case, they always order Chinese food.
What
That's
are
why.
you watching like Law and Order?
I
No,
don't
I
know.
just no. Hey, nothing wrong with it. I'm
It's
not
better than
hating.
the 15 minutes they lasted last time.
I
So
know, I know,
five
but
hours is better than 15 minutes.
5 hours is that's what she said. Anyways, yes, 5 hours is better than 15 minutes any day of the week. Actually, this is what I think they're going to do.
You can find
Friday.
him at H Town Wheelhouse.
Hey, it's right there on the screen. And if you're listening, at H Wheelhouse on Twitter and Instagram, always positive, always Astros. Oh, so this is what they're going to do. They're going to come out and say, we saw the podcast that Locked on Astros delivered on Monday, and they were dressed up and they meant business. And we know that if they mean business, they can't show us up. So because we have meant business all week, we're prompted by the Locked On Astros podcast, we have come with a deal. And I think that's what they're going to do.
Exactly. You've heard it first from H-Town Wheelhouse and Eric the Man Huysman, and it's gonna happen this week. Yeah, I can't even say it's gonna happen this week, guys. I'm not even that
Bookmark
bold,
it.
but that's all we got for this special edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. Hopefully tomorrow we'll have some more information and we'll get a better idea what the players are willing to give up because crunch time is coming up and the players are giving in a little bit, but there's still a big gap. Both sides are not happy, but at least they're talking. That's the best thing you got to do. You got to go to counseling. You got to talk in a relationship. And that's what the players and owners need to do.
And
That's
eat
all.
some Chinese food.
Eat some Chinese food. All righty. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Go Astros and make the Locked On Astros podcast your first listen.